All right. Paramount Plus will be upon us because CBS All Access is dead. It was a colossal failure. Its flagship show, Star Trek Discovery, was awful. And so they're moving on with Paramount Plus. Now that the company is back together with CBS and Viacom are under one company now. So now they can do this, where Paramount Plus probably easily has a better chance than CBS All Access, which I don't think, even if Star Trek had been really good, I don't think that would have been enough to carry it to be a competitor in the streaming wars. So they've got a lot of stuff coming, and a lot of it is reboot, and some other Star Trek stuff. But Star Trek, as what they've been doing with it, I have zero interest in paying for that because it's really bad. And the only thing that might lure me in is Strange New Worlds, but I'm dubious of that. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of remakes, reboots, and stuff like that, and even series based on old movies that they own and stuff like that, because streaming services are desperate for material. The other great news is Beavis and Butthead. So that in and of itself is probably, I'm gonna have to check it out. So I'll have to look further into it and maybe do a video overall on Paramount Plus and stuff that I think might work and not. But one thing that I'm always a sucker for was the found footage genre of horror films. Even the really bad ones, but just because I'm a sucker for the format, I liked Blair Witch, the original. The other two, no. The second one actually looks better now because the third one was so god awful. So there's some that are cool, and there's some that aren't, and there's some that are just really terrible. But Paranormal Activity really took the crown for it, and in a lot of ways what they did was they set some rules there that lended it to credibility. One of the big problems for a found footage film is, like, at a certain point it becomes, you just don't believe that someone's going to keep holding the camera when the monster's coming for you and all this stuff. Whereas Paranormal Activity managed to come up with structures there that made it credible, and very simply that there's the initial one is with the typical plot of horror films is the curiosity kills the cat. Well, in this case, in the first one, of course, it's poor stupid Mika and his obsessiveness about it, and he's so obsessed with this idea of a haunting and a ghost and all that stuff, and he wants to get some evidence of it and all of that, and it drives him to his fate. The second one's even better because they have the security cams all set up around the house, and there you go. That pretty much explains the whole damn thing, and works very well. Now the third one, again, you're kind of back to where the thing of Mika, where the husband or the stepfather there, he becomes obsessed about what the hell's going on, and unfortunately this leads him to the same, he's the cat. He gets killed in the end. But anyway, so it was a pretty successful franchise. It made money and all that, but it deviated from some of the teases it had. The original film actually had an alternate ending where Katie kills herself at the end. And so now that there was a film that was supposed to be a spinoff, but actually you kind of have to watch it. It fits in with the overall narrative. It's I don't know. They were pushing like this. They were going to appeal to the Latino community. And it does, it features a Latin family, but it ties right in and actually has characters come back from the other films and all that. The daughter from the second film, who's the only survivor of that family, besides the sister, but no, she didn't make it either. That's right. Yeah, Katie came in and killed her own sister. Jeez Louise. But the daughter, the stepdaughter, she survives, and I thought that would have been a cool thing to do. There were other characters, like the psychic investigator from the first one could have been someone who come back because there's this murder that happens, and he had some knowledge of it, and also it lends credence to the idea of the films themselves. Who's collecting this and showing you? I guess it's the demon. But it would seem to make sense that it was the police investigating all these heinous crimes that keep happening. But it did, and it's a very important. Marked Ones is a very important film in the franchise because it introduced time travel in it. So perhaps the alternate ending, it really happened, but in an alternate timeline. Poor Katie's dead. But I think for a seventh film, which is what they're going to bring to Paramount Plus, and apparently they were initially thinking of bringing it back to theaters, but then the lockdown happened and all that. So, and then the streaming service, so it'll be exclusive to that. I'm thinking. I don't think there'll be a theatrical release. But anyway, as to what it could do, well, the time travel element is there. People who've died can come back. And they got to have Katie come back of any of the other characters, because I think the films without her suffered. And I want more Katie. She's a very good actress. She does this role very well. She's very believable as just someone you might meet at the grocery store, and that really helped it a lot to give it its faux reality, if you will, which is important for the found footage element of it. It's not supposed to look like a Hollywood production and all that sort of stuff. It's supposed to look like somebody's home movies, and she did that very well. I don't think I've seen her much in anything else. She had a guest starring role in Oren Peli's found footage TV series The River, which was trying to be lost. And it lost. But she was good at it. Quite the lovely lady, but oh well, didn't take off. So I would hope that she comes back. And then there's just that whole narrative of what she suffered in that film, and then she's just stuck possessed by this nasty demon. And then there's just like the whole story of the coven and whatnot and how far it goes, and all of that. But there were ebbs and flows in it, and I think they deviated too much from the story that was teased in the original, and certainly in the second one, about the girls. Their family home had burnt down, and then they give you the third film, and that didn't happen. Then there was a trailer to that film where there was a house burning, and there was even another character, like a psychic investigator scenes with him, and that's all cut out. So I don't know what happened. For whatever reason, they decided to deviate from that, and perhaps it's because they ended up burning the picture of young Katie in the second film, because it was a means by which to transfer the demon to her from her sister. Maybe that's why, but I don't know. But of course, they're making it up as they go along, but there's still, you look for little things in the previous film and say, I can build on that, that kind of thing. So I don't know what happened there. So I guess there's some footage. They might weave that into the time travel element that was introduced in Marked Ones. And that could be it. And there was the final film, there was like a portal and all this sort of stuff. So maybe they can make use of that, and say, oh, look, there's a place where the house did burn down. There's another element where Katie died and she killed herself and all that. So I don't know. But the weakest of the whole series was the final one. It was very dissatisfying, and most notably because Katie was not in it. Her younger self was. You do have a brief moment where you see her in there, but it's got to be original Katie. Because the final one did seem to sort of final it. Spoiler: Toby wins. But again, yeah, they did put time travel in there. They did. You got to watch Marked Ones. It's in there. And so there you go. And I would think that where does it go here? I think probably a jumping off point would be some of these, even some characters who didn't show up but were mentioned. That would be people who would investigate this. There's a lot of people affected by the events of these films, and it seems like they end up being the cats who got curious. And that might be how it happens, and then all kinds of wild stuff can occur in it. So certainly we'll be wanting to give it a shot. But eventually, sometimes it might end up just being a case of beating a dead horse, and that's unfortunate. It's a lot of films at this point, and ultimately, for a story to maintain something of itself, it has to have an ending. But the Paranormal 7 was not a very satisfying ending. So I'll give Paranormal Activity 7 a shot. Whether or not I'll sign up for, well, because of Beavis and Butthead and a lot of other stuff, I'm probably going to sign up for Paramount Plus to see that, and then check out once I'm done. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.